Hey everybody, it's Kirsten with Top Travel Eat, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the fantasy versus the reality of living in Portugal. Now, before we moved to Portugal, I used to fantasize a lot about what it would be like to live here and also to be living in Europe in general. Let's face it, as Americans, we always romanticize Europe. Oh, Europe is just so beautiful. All the history. Wouldn't it be so cool to live there? Well, I can tell you that part, it is. It is really cool to live here in Portugal and here in Europe, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm going to talk about what didn't quite live up to my fantasies now that we've been living here, but I will also talk about a few things that did in fact exceed my fantasies. Let me first start out by saying that we are very fortunate that we had a pretty seamless move here to Portugal. And I believe that's because we've moved around so much in the past. To us, this was just another move, just another downsizing. We had downsized a few times before in the past, so this was just another downsizing. There was a little more paperwork to fill out. But in the end, it's a matter of getting ourselves together and getting over here. We also had pretty good timing with our processes because the visa process, the requirements change frequently, and we got our visas before some significant changes, so it just made the whole process easier. So again, the timing plus our past experiences, our whole move, there just wasn't really any drama. So we're definitely thankful for that. For us, the biggest change that came with moving to Portugal is reducing our income significantly. Before we moved here, I was working full time. Now that we're living in Portugal, we're living on a reduced amount of money. Now, I still cannot believe that I am actually retired, and I even have trouble saying the word because it always seemed like it was going to be so far off into the future. Not that far off, but you know, maybe another 6 or 7 years. But we decided to go ahead and pull the trigger. Couldn't really justify working that much longer to have more money down the road when we could be enjoying ourselves so much in the meantime, really. So when I say fantasy versus reality, everyone's fantasies are different and everyone's realities are different. And I'm basically gonna talk about ours and what we've experienced here in Portugal. Now, the biggest area where fantasy has not lived up to reality for us has to do with travel. Before we moved to Portugal, I was so excited because I knew that once we were settled here, we'd have so many opportunities for travel, that the airfares were really inexpensive. I mean, we're talking 50 euros to fly pretty much anywhere in Europe. And I thought we would be taking trips all the time, like at least once a month, taking a trip to go explore something new. We'd have all the time in the world because we're both off work, but what I failed to get through to my fantasy mind that all of these trips would take money. Now, first let me start with the 50 euro airfares. Okay, fantasy, that's pretty much pure fantasy. Those airfares are out there. Sure, the base fare is 50 euro. But then when you factor in the cost for a checked bag, if you want to check your bag, a seat, okay, if you decide not to check your bag and it's overweight, you still have to end up paying anyway. And then factor in the crazy times that a lot of those flights leave. Sorry, not really feeling getting up to catch a 5 a.m. flight. Those 50 euro airfares, think of them more as 250 to 300 euro airfares if you want to fly at a normal time of the day, not on a low-cost carrier, but maybe have some options for refunds and changes of your ticket. So there's that. Also, the cost of lodging. Now, sure, there's Airbnb, but we like to stay in hotels. I mean, part of going on vacation is having somebody come in and clean your room, make your bed for you, all that stuff. Yeah, so it's not as economical as I thought it was going to be. And couple that with the reduced income that we're living on, not so many trips. Now, the reality is, back before I retired, it was very easy to save up a few $1,000s in a fairly short period of time and then take a trip. Now, maybe we can save up a few €100 because that's what we've built into our budget to save towards travel each month, but that's not going to get us very far. So it looks like we will be taking maybe 2 nice trips a year, which is still good, and just really enjoying our time discovering our new city and new country, because there is a lot to see, and definitely traveling within Portugal is fairly economical, so we'll be doing some of that. But there are a lot of places that we would like to see out in the rest of Europe, and I guess we're not going to be seeing those as quickly as I thought. So that's really the area where, for us, fantasy versus reality didn't line up at all. The good news about that is we do have a budget to enjoy a nice life here in Portugal, so that in itself is more than we can ask for. Now let's go to the flip side, where reality actually exceeds the fantasies. So the first area is the cafe culture and just the dining out culture here in Portugal. Every day I am still amazed at how many places there are to simply sit outside, enjoy a cup of coffee, enjoy a glass of wine, or just sit on a bench along a busy avenue and get in your people watching. Pretty much everywhere we've been in Portugal, you can find outdoor cafes, benches dotted throughout cities. I am just so impressed with how these cities and towns are set up, and that it's just part of the culture to have so many places just to sit and enjoy the outdoors, just to sit and enjoy a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. I'm still always blown away that you can just find somewhere to sit outside. Where we come from, it's just not like that. Even in the downtown areas of big cities in the United States, there aren't very many places just to sit outside and while away the afternoon. I love that about Portugal, and it really has made our time here so enjoyable. Another area where reality has exceeded fantasy is with the fresh bread here in Portugal. This is not a trivial thing. I love bread, and I love that I can just go to the bakery or even the grocery store and just pick up some freshly baked bread. Now, where I grew up in the United States, fresh bread was not a thing. I'm sure it is in some places, but it just has never been a thing in my life until moving here to Portugal. It's a luxury and we love it. I know people that grew up with this is completely normal. I didn't, and we love it. So I don't even know what else I can say about that, but it is just such a treat to be able to get fresh bread so easily that tastes so good. Okay, enough about the bread. And the last thing I'm going to talk about where reality has exceeded fantasy is with Portuguese wine. We love wine, and Portugal's wines are really outstanding and really well priced. Those of you coming from the US, if you're familiar with the Bevmo 5-cent wine sale, I can tell you I would go get my 6 bottles of wine and get 6 more for 5 cents, but it will still cost you $200 for a case of wine. Well, here in Portugal, we have found our wine wheelhouse to be around the €3 to €4 bottles of wine that are just wonderful. They work well with our budget, and it's just nice. Again, it's another luxury. In traveling to Portugal in the past, I remember the wine being good on vacation, but now I guess it just stands out to me a little bit more because I can't believe I can go buy a couple of nice bottles of wine for €8 and just, I just don't even know what to say about that. Again, it's just a difference in the culture, and it's just really nice to be able to enjoy a nice bottle of wine. So, yeah, fantasy and reality hasn't been all bad. It's more of an adjustment on the travel, and we're fortunate that one of our biggest problems is to be able to have to make that adjustment. So, as always, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about this video. I always appreciate reading your comments. If you like this video and you still haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate you subscribing, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.